and Neil Dykeman at 1%, the Libertarian. But once again, I've heard some intelligence a couple of moments ago that now they're going to start counting votes around the more rural parts of the area, which should really help out Cruz with this counting there. So once again, we have people live at statewide tonight. We'll check in right now with our Capitol reporter, Steffi Lee, with the Cruz campaign.
Well, nervous and uncertain is how several supporters we spoke with here tonight at Senator Ted Cruz's watch party say they're feeling as they're seeing the results come in. Now, they still expect Cruz to win, but predict it will be close tonight. Cruz's senior advisor to his campaign tells us their team hit all demographics of the state, but focus on suburbs as well, since that is an important swing part of Texas. O'Rourke's campaign is in El Paso tonight. Former Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Julian Castro, is also there. There is a lot of faith there in how Democrats will perform to set the tone for the rest of the state. Both parties are watching these early numbers trickle in and how they'll impact down ballot races statewide.
All of the Democrats that are running are winning. I'm sure that's the case in Travis County, probably these other big counties. So it looks like it's shaping up to be a good night. And Beto is overperforming most of the other countywide candidates.
There's always uncertainty. You never know what's going to happen in an election. But I'm hoping that we were able to energize the base enough to get out the vote.
Both candidates speak. We'll continue to bring you coverage and reaction from both campaigns throughout this evening. Live in Houston, Steffi Lee, back to you.
And now to the race for 1st Congressional District. We already have a projected winner. According to the Associated Press, incumbent Louis Gohmert has been reelected. This is his 4th time facing Democrat Shirley McKellar.
Also tonight for U.S. Rep District 4, 3 candidates on the ballot. John Ratcliffe has been given the thumbs up as the official winner tonight. He was pulling ahead a couple of hours ago, and so far that race will be going to him. Also, 2 to choose from on the ballot for State Rep District 6. That is Matt Schaefer and Neil Katz. And right now we do have some numbers with that. Right now, with 3% of the precincts reporting, Mr. Schaefer is ahead right now, 76% to 24%.
And East Texas voters have 2 candidates on the ballot for District 5 in the Texas House seat. The district includes the most rural parts of Smith County and also parts of Wood, Rains, Camp, Morris, and Titus counties. Republican Cole Hefner is facing Democrat Bill Leby in hopes of winning his 2nd term. You can take a look right there and see right now Hefner is in the lead with 80% of the votes, with 18% of precincts reporting.
And also running for State Rep, Republican Travis Clardy facing Democrat Alec Johnson for the District 11 race. And right now Mr. Clardy is leading. That is with 5% of the votes in.
We have all of the races covered for you, from the counties of East Texas to the legislative seats to statewide campaigns.
Yes, we do. By the way, our live team coverage, including Trent Bennett at the GOP Watch Party in Tyler. Also, Daniel Pierce joining us from the Democrat event. Garrett Sanders has reaction from one of the few independent candidates, and Mike Alzamora is looking into a shortage of voting machines at one polling place. So, our Capitol reporter Wes Rappaport is covering statewide races from Austin. As you saw moments ago, Steffi Lee with the Houston campaign in Houston. So Mike Miller is here in the studio breaking down the congressional balance of power. And our political expert, James Newsom of UT Tyler, is going to be providing tonight some unique insight on this historic midterm election. Many are watching the results as they come in at watch parties across our area. One in Tyler, KATK's Trent Bennett right now, has been at the Smith County GOP party at the Potpourri House. He now joins us live. Trent.
Well, Neil, things are going. The mood here is pretty positive. We've got a lot of rooted Republicans in the House. You got Ted Cruz fans. You got Jacob Putnam fans. And I'm here with Representative Matt Schaefer of District 6. He's also running. Things are looking good for the party right now.
Looking good for me tonight. It's an honor to serve. Thankful for everybody that got out to vote today. Lots of conversations at the polls. And, you know, my hat's off to Neil Katz for starting a conversation, for working hard and getting his message out.
And we had a lot on the line at stake, a lot at stake here in this election. A lot of people wanted to see Texas values continue to shine through. We're starting to see we have a couple of races that are already being called, but you're looking good. A lot of our local elections are looking good. I know Mr. Gohmert's been called, but what's this been like, you know, trying to fight for Texas values and for the people of East Texas?
Well, you get to talk to a lot of people and you hear what they're concerned about. They're concerned about border security. They're concerned about public schools. They're concerned about property taxes. They're concerned about the Second Amendment. And they mainly want to keep Texas going in the right direction. And work with Governor Abbott and others, that's what I intend to do.
And if the numbers do come out the way that you want them to, and I know that your group here wants them to, what do you want to see done in the future for the state of Texas and for our nation?
Yeah, we got to keep working on border security. We got to keep working on making Texas very competitive. There's a reason people that are moving to Texas. It's because we have lower taxes, less regulation. We're a great place to raise a family and create jobs. And we need to get government to not mess with that and keep the Texas model working.
And what do you want to say to the folks at home who voted, the folks who have been out at the polls? A lot of the people have been campaigning for you. I know signs are everywhere. What do you say to those people?
Hey, thank you. There's a lot of people that did things on behalf of me and other Republicans that we don't even know. And so I'm very grateful. Nobody wins a campaign by themselves. It's always a team effort. And when you're done, you reach across the aisle and you shake hands and say, how can we all work together?
All right. Thank you so much, Matt. We appreciate you. Thank you guys for showing up. And we wish you the best. I appreciate your time for you. Yeah, we wish you the best of the luck. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to send it back to you guys. As I said, the positivity is flowing through this building. We'll send it back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Trent. And now we're going to turn to another watch party in Tyler. The Smith County Democratic Party is checking the polls from the Roast Social Kitchen in Tyler. KTK's Daniel Pierce joins us live to show us what they're doing. Daniel?
That's right, Rachel. Everybody's waiting here. They're so excited, but they're waiting anxiously to hear the final results being tallied as well as called out. They're watching CNN on the two TVs that were specifically brought here for this watch party. Now, as we've mentioned, as we've shown on our website, Texas Governor Greg Abbott will remain in his seat, as well as House Representative Louis Gohmert. He beat out Democratic opponent Shirley McKellar. She has already left and gone to another watch party that she was scheduled to appear at. So the question now that everybody's asking themselves is, has the blue wave finally met the red tsunami and stalled out? They say it is too early to tell up here. Take a look at some images that we captured earlier today. People were chanting Beto at every single county that was called for him early on, and the ticker at the bottom of most screens showed that Democrats had an early lead whenever it came to the U.S. House as well as U.S. Senate. Now, for Congressman Beto O'Rourke, his campaign as well as the campaign for the Democrats have relied heavily on those young voters. And here in East Texas, we saw a large amount of voter registrations, and specifically in Gregg as well as Smith County. Now, whenever it comes to, in the past, those voter registrations, a lot of the new voters go for the Democrats, but it's still too early to tell if that plays an actual part into tonight. Now, as you're probably able to tell from the cheers going on behind me, that is not because anything has been announced for the Texas race. It is because things have been announced. Democrats have won other parties, other places across the country. They are looking specifically and hoping that with each one of those cheers, each one of those races that is captured by a Democrat, that's one step at controlling the U.S. House as well as the U.S. Senate. That magic number that is needed for Democrats to control the House is 218. And going into today's midterms, it was projected that Democrats had a strong chance that they would take control of the House but lose seats in the Senate. However, right now, a whole lot of those races are too early to call, specifically the race here in Texas for U.S. Senate. Of course, we will keep you updated here at the watch party for the Smith County Democrats, and anything that is announced, we will bring you the reactions live here later on in our broadcast. Reporting live in Tyler, Daniel Pierce, KHK, Fox 51 News.
All right, Daniel, thank you. Another closely watched race this election season, the state's gubernatorial race. That is Greg Abbott versus Lupe Valdez and Jay Tippett. But right now, we can project that Governor Greg Abbott has been reelected for a second term as the governor of Texas.
There are also 3 candidates on the ballot for lieutenant governor this year: Dan Patrick, Mike Collier, and Kerry McKinnon. The lieutenant governor is the second highest executive office holder in the state, next to the governor. And right now you can see that Dan Patrick is in the lead. He has 51% of the votes with 13% of precincts reporting.
Now, facing off for the Texas Attorney General seat, we're talking about Ken Paxton there, Justin Nelson, and Michael Ray Harris. Paxton has been on that job ever since 2014, and right now the polls are showing with 13% of the precincts being in. Paxton right now with a slight lead over Justin Nelson. Also for the Texas Railroad Commission seat, and just in case you're new to the state, this has nothing to do with the railroad industry. It has to do with regulation of oil and gas. 3 candidates there: incumbent Christy Craddock, Roman McCallum, and Mike Wright. And as of now, Christy Craddock is in the lead.
And there are also 3 candidates running for Commissioner of Agriculture. Incumbent Sid Miller is up against Kim Olson and Richard Carpenter. And you can see that Sid Miller is leading by a very small margin with 15% of precincts reporting. And
Commissioner of the General Land Office has 3 contestants for that chair. They are responsible for managing lands and mineral right properties owned by the state. The contenders are George P. Bush, Miguel Suazo, and Matt Pena. It looks as though right now the George P. Bush is ahead with 15% of precincts being voted.
Another state race: the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts. Their main duty is collect all tax revenue owed to the state. The current comptroller, Glenn Hager, is being challenged by Joy Chevalier and Ben Sanders. You can see that Glenn Hager is in the lead. He has 53% of the votes with 15% of precincts reporting. And now to some breaking news in Smith County, as one polling location didn't quite have enough voting machines to handle the crowds that they received. Mike Elsenborg joins us live in the studio to tell us how they managed. Mike?
Yeah, hi, Rachel. No doubt we have to give credit to the folks at the D.C. Brown Heritage Building in Tyler for making sure that a difficult situation didn't become chaos this morning when they figured out that they simply were not going to have enough voting machines to suffice. Democratic Judge Yvonne Sanchez got a hold of the Smith County Elections Office to try to get more. However, there were no more. However, she says they instructed her on how to adjust to try to make sure that the process was as smooth as possible.
Very important to make sure that everybody votes, to try to get the vote. So we tried to do all that we could to make sure of that. And with it being like today, we short-handed, it really made it difficult because I called twice and she said, we just don't have anything. So it really made it difficult, but I helped myself together and got it out.
Now, some voters did tell me as they were leaving that they did have to wait in line for a little over an hour to cast their vote. Rachel, Neil, let's go back to you guys.
All right, Mike, thanks. As we said a couple of moments ago, Greg Abbott once again has been declared the winner, once again to be the governor of Texas, and so we're waiting for a live feed right now. Can we show that? We're waiting for Mr. Abbott to speak.
I'm going to be returning to that Capitol a few blocks from where we are today, working every day for you, making sure we keep Texas the premier state in the greatest country in the history of the world. And then as we do so, may God bless us in our efforts, and may God forever bless the great state of Texas.
He said what he wanted to say right there. That's a snippet, but pretty much that says everything. After the break, breaking down the balance.
What could happen if the power ends up shifting? We'll hear from more experts. You're watching KTK Election Night Special.